Gardner. Jewel is known around the world as a platinum recording artist for her singing and songwriting. Her husband, Ty Murray, is a world champion in professional rodeo. We'll take you to their Texas ranch and find out why cattle ranching is an important part of their lives as well.
Hi, I'm Rob Stewart. Ever wonder where that sugar in your kitchen came from? Well, there's a good chance it came from a field just like this. We'll take you to Montana to meet a multi-generational farm family that is sweet on sugar beets.
I'm Yolanda Vazquez. Americans love their ice cream. And for one Delaware dairy farm, the sweet, creamy treat was the answer to keeping their farm alive. It's all coming up on America's Heartland.
You can see it in the eyes of every woman and man in America's heartland, living close to the land. There's a love for the country and a pride in the brand in America's heartland, living close to the land.
Jewel is a world-renowned performer whose singing and songwriting has earned her 3 Grammy nominations. Her husband, Ty Murray, is well known as a world champion in professional rodeo. But here on their Texas ranch, the emphasis is more on cattle than celebrities. As they saddle up to move cattle on this late summer morning, Jewel and her husband, Ty Murray, are a long way from the bright lights they often find themselves in.
How about this 90 Club, this yeehaw?
Ty, a world champion rodeo rider.
We've been doing this war dance together.
And Jewel, a singer-songwriter whose albums have sold millions of copies worldwide.
My favorite memories of growing up are probably horses and music. Those two things were always bright spots in a life that, was challenging and difficult.
The hardships that predate Jewel Kilcher's rise to fame are well documented, leaving her rural Alaska home at age 15 for a prestigious art school in Michigan, hitchhiking cross-country, singing in coffee houses to pay the bills, and learning firsthand what it meant to be homeless in America.
But I just fell on hard times. I had sick kidneys, I couldn't afford antibiotics. I almost died in the parking lot of a hospital because they didn't see me because I wouldn't have insurance. And it was just this vicious cycle. I'd try and get a job, but I got sick too much to keep the job, and would end up getting fired again. And
chronicling those hard times with honest, lyric-driven songs would whisk Jewel out of the car she lived in and onto the car radios of millions of listeners.
Yeah, my father's daughter.
Well, I'm a 4th-generation cowboy, so, I grew up around it my whole life.
Growing up in a family where both his parents had riding backgrounds, Ty was at the top of the rodeo game by the age of 21.
I was horseback before I could walk. Riding rough stocking rodeos and ranching, those were the 2 things that I was crazy about.
The stakes are high, how will we find the courage to believe?
The past decade has been a whirlwind for both Ty and Jewel. New album hits and the publication of 2 books for her, tours on the music and rodeo circuit, and don't forget television. How was it you got roped into an appearance on Dancing with the Stars?
Well, they started coming to me about 3 years ago. With the PBR, this was a chance to expose the sport of bull riding and cowboys to about 25 million new people a week. And that's just an unbelievable opportunity, and we felt like the show, what it did for cowboys and bull riding, we felt like it did in spades.
Out of the spotlight, their 2,200-acre cattle ranch is where Jewel and Ty come to decompress from their busy professional lives.
I think it's a great place to stay grounded. Our job is a blessing and it's amazing, but it can also be really silly and you can get caught up in the wrong things, and I think this helps you stay really grounded. It's nice to do chores. We'll be doctoring a calf one day and then at the Oscars the next.
When you get out here and the gates are shut, you don't even know the rest of the world's going on, and I think we both really enjoy that, the privacy and the peace and the beauty of it, the lakes and the rivers and all that.
Ranching has proven to be the common thread drawing Jewel and Ty together. Away from the microphone, Jewel's life centers on ranching chores. And Ty has co-written a song with Jewel, Till We Run Out of Road. So how does a guy go about finding a girl who will come out here and live in the middle of nowhere and help you work the ranch?
She'd just look at me. No, I don't. You know,
It was the smile, right?
I don't know. We, you know, me and Jewel met about 11 years ago, and you know, at the time that Jewel and I met, she was touring really hard, and I was rodeoing really hard, and we were both just on the road constantly.
Life on the ranch gives Jewel time to explore different avenues of creativity.
I really enjoy drawing and sculpture and visual art as much as I enjoy singing, as much as I enjoy writing poetry. It just all feels like the same body. It's just different limbs that I need to exercise.
And she makes time to support global projects, providing clean water for impoverished communities.
While I was living in my car, I had bad kidneys and was having to drink a gallon of bottled water a day, and that was expensive. I couldn't afford it. And I thought, if we're having such a hard time in America drinking our tap water, I wonder what it's like in the rest of the world.
Ty's work in advancing the profile of the Professional Bull Riders Association is a natural fit with his love of the Heartland's wide open spaces. And time on the ranch provides Jewel and Ty a setting to continue their work as they look to the future.
You know, I'm glad that I was able to both of us were kind of able to go out and do what we wanted to do and have some success, and now it's time that we can be married and look at having kids and enjoying the fruits of our success.
Texas has plenty of cows to keep cowboys and cowgirls busy. The cattle industry is a $13 billion business, and ranches in the Lone Star State round up more than 13 million cattle.
If you did something for 200 years, you'd probably get pretty good at it, right? Well, one Delaware farm family has been working their land for more than 2 centuries, and now they face the future with a sweet and creamy outlook.
My great-great-great-grandfather purchased the farm in 1796.
Joe Mitchell works a Delaware farm that his family acquired when George Washington was president.
Growing up on the farm, I always wanted to farm. I always said I learned more following my father and grandfather around the farm than I ever did when I was in school.
And Joe's son Jim is following in those same footsteps, plotting his future as part of a dairy operation that began with milk and butter.
In 1928, I'm not sure why, they stopped making butter and started selling fluid milk. And then my father and I continued that until 1961, when, for various reasons, we gave up the dairy at that point.
With the cows gone, they produced pumpkins, row crops, and poultry. But the economic realities of modern farming demanded some new directions. So in the mid-90s, the cows came back.
I gave Janet a calf one Christmas as a gift, and that kind of started our dairy herd.
But this time, the Mitchells decided on a slightly sweeter and creamier future.
We saw a show on PBS, actually, the ice cream show, and they talked about a course up at Penn State, and so my husband said, you know, why don't I go?
Needing help in their new venture, they asked Jim's dad to join them in making the frozen treats.
I said, I'm too old to start something new. I'll milk the cows for you. So that's what I do.
Today, the Mitchells turn out dozens of flavors and deliver their homemade ice cream to area stores and restaurants. It's also a favorite at their dairy shop, serving thousands of farm visitors each year. Visitors who have a chance to encounter agriculture in a rapidly expanding urban environment.
Being able to produce something and sell it ourselves directly to the public so people can see where their food comes from. Kids can learn about agriculture.
We're in the middle of suburban northern Newcastle County, and yet there's a live, active, working farm that has transitioned from maybe being a straight type of dairy farm to adding the Woodside Creamery.
But ice cream isn't the only thing produced here. Shiny panels capture energy from the sun, and the creamery is one of Delaware's largest solar-powered farms. And extensive composting adds another layer of sustainability, enhancing the soil.
It's nice to be able to produce our own power on the farm, just like we produce a lot of our own products, our own milk and some of our food and that sort of thing. It helps us be a little more independent, and it helps the country be a little more independent too, which I like.
More than 200 years after plows first turned this Delaware soil, the Mitchells see a continuity of family and the land.
I know it'll keep on during my lifetime, and I hope something will come along and it'll continue to.
It's nice to have the heritage. You know, a lot of folks just don't have that heritage. People ask how long we've been here, and so many people are surprised when I say the family's been here for over 200 years and I'm part of the 7th generation on the farm. It just amazes them.
According to the Guinness Book of World Records, folks in Alberta, Canada created the world's biggest ice cream sundae in 1988. It weighed 55,000 pounds. Like your ice cream in sandwich form? Well, in the same year, ice cream fans in Dubuque, Iowa put together an ice cream sandwich that tipped the scales at 2,500 pounds.
Hi, I'm Rob Stewart, and still ahead, we'll take you to Montana to meet a 5-generation farm family. Wait till you hear their story about helping bring sugar to your table.
I'm John Lobertini. Still ahead, we're going to take you to Missouri, where Heartland wheat is being transformed into what some call the staff of life.
If you're one of those shoppers who stalks the aisles for interesting flavors, you've no doubt come across lemongrass. This pungent herb is sliced thin and added to Asian dishes to give it a velvety, fresh lemon flavor. But what the heck is lemongrass? Well, it's a native grass to India that looks as good as it tastes. If it looks a little like sugarcane, that's because cane and lemongrass are country cousins. It's a perennial plant where the bulb end, call it the rhizome, is stuck in the ground and sprouts up to create 2 to 3 foot stalks that are cut and rushed to your supermarket. If you're looking for lemongrass in the produce aisle, look for firm, fresh, gray-green stalks. Once you get it home, refrigerate it in a tightly sealed bag for 2 to 3 weeks. The active ingredient in lemongrass is citral. It's the same stuff that's in lemon peel, and it's the perfect partner for seafood, curries, chilies, or other dishes using garlic. Lemongrass is also well known for its medicinal qualities. All I know is that a big old plate of lemongrass chicken always makes me feel better. Maybe it's the iron, folate, or potassium inside. Could be the manganese. What's manganese, you ask? Well, I didn't know either. It's actually a naturally occurring metal found in rocks that your body needs to stay healthy, and there's 175% of your daily value inside a lemongrass. Think about that the next time you take it off the shelf.
Wheat is the big crop here in Montana. The state's 30,000 farms have nearly 6 million acres planted in wheat. But farming demands diversity these days, and for one multi-generational farm family, that means planting wheat and something sweet.
That something sweet can be found in the 38,000 acres of sugar beets planted in Montana.
It's a sweet deal, yes.
Brian Uffelman, his dad, and 3 brothers raise beets on each of their farms in the southeastern corner of this state. Wheat is a cash crop for farmers in this region, and with sugar beets as part of their planting rotation, the family pulls added dollars out of their land.
So how much more of a cash crop are beets?
Last year we averaged right around 30 ton an acre. The final paycheck after it's all said and done is between $1,350 and $1,400 an acre. A winter wheat crop, if you make 80 bushel times $5, you're basically $400 an acre.
Oh wow, it's a lot
so
more.
There's a lot more money. There's a lot more money invested in sugar beets, but the end result, you're still making a lot more money raising sugar beets.
Farmers in the Northwest, Plain States, and Great Lakes region will raise some 33 million tons of sugar beets. And while many people think of cane sugar, beets actually provide more than half the sugar that makes its way to your table, into your soft drinks, or becomes part of your family's desserts.
I don't know if many people realize this is where a lot of the sugar comes from.
Yes, most of it.
Can I pull one of these up?
Sure.
And how big will that sugar beet get?
See, that's the start of the sugar beet right there.
Like a root.
That's the root right there, and that root will just keep getting bigger. And it's gonna grow probably about this long, this big and wide. And that should get to be 8 to 10 pounds.
8 to 10 pounds?
Yep.
And that's sugar?
That's sugar.
5 generations of Uffelmans have grown sugar beets in this Montana valley.
I got about 10 acres left on the north end.
Grandson Brandon Uffelman is a junior in college and is ready to return to the land full-time to work side by side with his dad.
You know, one of the things that we thought was so cool was that whenever you guys are all working together, it's like family helping family after farm, farm, farm. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's great. I mean, some people move away, never see their relatives ever again, or once a year at Christmas or something. We get to see them every day. I mean, I spend all day, almost every day in the summer with my dad. I see uncles and grandparents and stuff a couple times a week and borrowing equipment. It's great.
Brandon's father, Gary, says he's offering his son the same opportunity his dad gave him. Finish college, then start your career in farming.
My dad came in and we borrowed equipment from him quite a little. We bought what we could to get started, and we just kept growing and bought what we could afford as time went on, until we got to the point where we're at now, where we pretty much have all of our own equipment.
The family's team approach has paid off for the Uffelmans, enjoying success in good times and finding help when they need it.
Nobody's done till we're done. Till everybody's just done. Don't make any difference what it is.
It's comforting to know that when times get tough, somebody's going to come and help you no matter what.
The challenges in farming can come from nature, the economy, or fluctuating prices for a crop that takes months to mature. But Bill will tell you it's family values that see them through.
Well, it makes me a very proud father. I watch the boys, they grow up great, they're great kids, and now watching their grandkids and work with us. It's just, I guess that's why I'm still in it.
And young Brandon knows his grandfather is definitely still around.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you don't do something right, Grandpa's on your tail. You got.
He's standing right over there watching.
The sweeteners from sugar beets go into much more than just that sugar bowl on your kitchen table. Several European countries use fermented beet sugars to create specialty liqueurs.
I'm Paul Robbins, and here's something you may not have known about agriculture. You've probably heard about range wars in the Old West and battles over water rights, even today. But did you know that a common barnyard animal once played a role in a conflict between the United States and England? They call it the Pig War.
Set the Wayback Machine for June 15, 1859. Both the United States and England were still debating who owned the San Juan Islands off the coast of today's Washington state. While American settler Lyman Cutler, angry about some pigs trespassing on his land, gets out his long rifle and pops one particular porcine. And the trouble was, the pig was owned by Englishman Charles Griffin. Efforts at compensation were refused, and British authorities threatened to arrest Mr. Cutler. The United States sent over an infantry unit, and the English responded by parking warships off the coast. Over the next couple of months, forces grew on both sides, and while no one was backing down, luckily no one fired a shot in anger either. When word reached Washington, Army brass dispatched a high-ranking officer to try and defuse the conflict. Well, eventually both sides cooled off, but the issue was never really settled, and for a time, both English and American soldiers occupied the islands.
Then in 1872, an international resolution gave the islands to the Americans, and in the end, there was only one casualty in this conflict. Yeah, the pig.
When you sit down for dinner, chances are your favorite bread or rolls are right there on the table. Food author James Beard once wrote, bread is the most satisfying of all foods. Well, right here in Kansas City, there are some people who think creating distinctive breads is the ultimate homage to Heartland wheat.
Thank you very much. You have a good day. See you next time.
How do the baguettes look today?
They look really good. Mark Friend has had a love affair with bread for 30 years.
I fell in love with bread. Before I learned how, I tried. I experimented with sourdough, and all I had was a bunch of stinky pots of flour and water down in my basement.
Following the teachings of some great sourdough bakers, he would later reshape those kitchen disasters into what Friend now calls farm to market.
We were trying to find a name, and farm to market was something that was suggested and seemed to fit. The idea of trying to source our products from our farmers that we would, have a relationship with.
Farm to market wants you to know it's farmers and the wheat they're growing. Back in the pantry, the ingredients have a distinctly Midwestern flavor. Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Kansas.
What we're trying to do here is make a closer connection to the farmer, like know who the family is that's growing the wheat that's going into the flour that's in the bread being sold at the store.
This is a boutique bakery. Hands create the special breads here, not machines. Fresh ingredients are carefully chosen. Wheat, oats, raisins, sesame seeds. It's all important to Craig Flaker.
There's a big creative outlet that's involved in this, and that's where the artistic side comes in, the size, the volume, the crumb, the shape.
Specialty products require a special commitment. Farm to Market bakes breads and rolls for 40 grocery stores and 90 restaurants in the Kansas City area. They work 363 days a year, taking off only Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
What is your favorite? Rye, wheat, white, dark?
In fact, we get a lot of grief because where's the ciabatta bread? Well, we brought in 20 loaves and they were gone by one, and that's all there is.
Many of the communities here, both in the city and rural areas, have populations that originally came from Europe. People of German, Polish, French, Russian, and Italian descent clamor for these hearty breads.
Thank you.
Armin Bagians gets handmade dough from farm to market and bakes loaves fresh at his store.
Customers like that one because if front door customer walk in the store and they can look how I bake bread. I put in the oven and how I take from oven hot.
Farm to market completes a theme at the Hen House supermarket chain. Buy fresh, buy local, even to produce that carries the face and the name of the farmer that grew it.
The average item in a supermarket travels about 1,500 miles to get here, and these items are all within 200 miles. They have a sense that it's fresher and that it's better for them.
But farm to market is going even further, testing different ways to mill the flour, giving their breads different textures.
It's easy to see differences in the handling characteristics of dough.
And that difference has led them to seek out farmers interested in milling their own grain.
Big enough market now in the U.S. for artisan style bread that there's needs to be a flour that's suited to that too.
But bread is sometimes a fickle partner.
Our Grains Galore, that's one of our top sellers.
Those who work closely with these ingredients from the Heartland will tell you this dough is a living organism. An organism that lets them know every day how well they're doing their job.
When bread comes out of the oven, has this brown glow to it, and it's hot coming out of the oven. It's just incredible. It makes you feel proud.
Well, that's going to do it this time. Thanks for traveling the country with us on America's Heartland.
We're always pleased that you can join us. And remember, there's much more in America's Heartland at our website, including video on the stories from today's show. Just log on to americasheartland.org. We'll see you next time right here in America's Heartland.
To order a copy of this broadcast, visit us online or call 1-888-814-3923. The cost is $14.95 plus shipping.
You can see it in the eyes of every woman and man in America's heartland, living close to the land. There's a love for the country and a pride in the brand in America's heartland, living close to